Spirited, well-dressed crew today with this John Bullock Day. My kids couldn't understand why I was leaving the house wearing blue jeans today. And boots. Comfortable boots, I might add at that. All right, the hour, look at the rules chairman already ready to go with the mic in hand. Is that a belt buckle you got on there? The hour of convening has arrived on this beautiful Friday, and the Senate will come to order. At this time, I would ask that all unauthorized persons exit our chamber. Happy Friday to our doorkeepers. Thank you so much for your good work all week. Thank you. I'd like to recognize the distinguished senator from the 53rd. You finally You finally ditched that blue oversized scarf this week. I shouldn't have said anything.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your leadership on an outstanding bill yesterday that's going to keep Georgia safer in the future. We appreciate your leadership. Moment in time, 1936, Burt Reynolds, the bandit, was born today. He really wasn't born in Georgia, but he was raised in Georgia in the Waycross area. So he set many goals and had a lot of admirers. Also today is, according to the Center from the 51st, is Peppermint Patty's Day. He's always been a fan to that, and that's one of his favorite days. Also, the senator from the 7th has told me that this is Get Out Your Guitar Day, as he's done so many times. Mr. President, the journal's been read and found to be correct. Thank you.
It feels like you saved up all the good ones for today. There's a lot of good information you shared with us. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. Mr. Secretary, first reading of Senate bills and resolutions, please.
Senate Bill 485 by Senators Dolittle of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 13 of the OCGA relating to the statute of fraud so as to provide for agreements with a value in
Judiciary.
access. Senate Bill 486 by Senators Harper of the 7th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 8 of Title 2 of the OCGA relating to Agricultural Commodity Commission.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 487 by Senators McNeil of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to insurance generally so as to provide that diagnostic breast examination.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 488 by Senator Lucas of the 26th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Twiggs County approved July 27, 1923 as amended so as to change the description.
Slogo.
Senate Bill 489 by Senator Lucas of the 26th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Education of Twiggs County approved March 26, 1918.
Slogo.
Senate Bill 490 by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 23411 of the OCGA relating to definitions regarding tuition.
Higher education.
Senate Bill 491 by Senators Davenport of the 44th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 48 of the OCGA relating to revenue and taxation so as to create a qualified
Banking and financial institutions.
Senate Bill 492 by Senators Mullis of the 53rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 of the OCGA relating to public utilities and public transportation so as
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 493 by Senators Mullis of the 53rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 7 of Article 5 of Chapter 3 of Title 44 of the OCGA relating to miscellaneous provisions regarding timeshare projects and programs.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 494 by Senators Gooch of the 51st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 36 of the OCGA relating to local government so as to prohibit certain use restrictions on residential dwellings to provide for
Slogo General.
Senate Bill 495 by Senators Brass of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 4B of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to ticket brokers so as to place certain conditions on the
Regulated industries.
Senate Resolution 476 by Senators Mullis of the 53rd and others, a resolution honoring the life and memory of Miss Doris Green Mullis and dedicating an intersection in her memory and for other purposes.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 477 by Senators Mullis of the 53rd and others, a resolution creating the Joint Georgia Music Heritage Study Committee and for other purposes.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 479 by Senators Brass of the 28th and others, a resolution commending Taiwan for its relations with the United States and the state of Georgia and for other purposes.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 487 by Senators Mullis of the 53rd and others. A bill to be entitled, a resolution honoring the life of Congressman Gordon Lee and dedicating the intersection in his memory and for other purposes.
Transportation.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, please.
House Bill 412 by Representatives Dempsey of the 13th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the OCGA relating to professions and businesses so as to provide for the licensure of individuals in the practice of applied behavior analysis.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 430 by Representatives Powell of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 26 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to nurses so as to provide for licensure of advanced practice registered nurses, to amend Code Section
Health
16.
and Human Services.
House Bill 1049 by Representatives LaHood of the 175th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to nursing home administrators so as to revise.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 1201 by Representative Dukes of the 154th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for reapportionment of the election districts for the Baker County Board of Education so as to change the description of the education districts, to provide for definitions and inclusions, to provide for
Slogo. Oh, here comes the deluge of slogos.
House Bill 1202 by Representative Dukes of the 154th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Baker County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1203 by Representatives Perkle of the 155th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Tift County, approved August.
Slogo.
House Bill 1204 by Representatives Dukes of the 154th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Dougherty County, approved March.
Slogo.
House Bill 1205 by Representatives Sands of the 180th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend, restate, revise, reorganize, and modernize the law relating
Slogo.
to. House Bill 1206 by Representative Benton of the 31st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act establishing a system of public schools in the city.
Slogo.
House Bill 1207 by Representatives Perkle of the 155th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Tift County Board of Education, approved March 31st.
Slogo.
House Bill 1208 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Greene County, approved August.
Slogo.
House Bill 1209 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th, a bill to be entitled an act to creating the Board of Education of Greene County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1210 by Representatives Bonner of the 72nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Fayette.
Slogo.
House Bill 1211 by Representative Frazier of the 126th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Burke County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1212 by Representative Frazier of the 126th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Burke County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1213 by Representative Chiokas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of
Slogo.
House Bill 1214 by Representative Scott of the 76 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act changing the composition of
Slogo.
House Bill 1236 by Representative Perkle of the 155th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the
Slogo.
House Bill 1237 by Representative Perkle of the 155th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act reestablishing the Board of Commissioners of Coffee County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1238 by Representative Williams of the 148th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating for the continuing existence of Wilcox County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1239 by Representative Williams of the 145th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of the members of Baldwin County School Board.
Slogo.
House Bill 1240 by Representatives Meeks of the 178th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act changing the composition and method of election of the Board of Education of Appling County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1241 by Representatives Meeks of the 178th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the Board of Education of Wayne County, approved January 28, 19.
Slogo.
House Bill 1242 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to change the method of electing members.
Slogo.
House Bill 1243 by Representatives Jones of the 25th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Forsyth County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1246 by Representative Jones of the 25th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the Forsyth County Board of Education.
Slogo.
House Bill 1247 by Representative Sains of the 180th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the Board of Education of Camden County, approved March 30th, 1987, as
Slogo.
amended. House Bill 1249 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Quitman County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1251 by Representative Parrish of the 158th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the composition and election of the Board of
Slogo.
Education. House Bill 1252 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of members of the Board of Education.
Slogo.
House Bill 1254 by Representative Chiokas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Marion County. approved.
Slogo.
House Bill 1255 by Representative Chiokas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the Board of Education of Schley County.
Slogo.
House Bill 1257 by Representative Chokas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the Board of Education, Board of Election of Board of Commissioners of the Schley County, approved February 5th. House Bill 1258 by Representatives Taylor of the 173rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating a new Board of Education of Grady County, approved March. House Bill 1259 by Representatives Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Ware County. House Bill 1260 by Representatives Dukes of the 154th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Dougherty County School System. House Bill 1261 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Terrell County, approved February 28, 1966. House Bill 1262 by Representative Dukes of the 154th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act changing the method of selection of members. House Bill 1263 by Representative Dukes of the 154th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Miller County, approved. House Bill 1265 by Representatives Burnoff of the 77th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Clayton County Board of... House Bill 1266 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Randolph County, approved. House Bill 1267 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Randolph County, approved February. House Bill 1268 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Terrell County. House Bill 1269 by Representative Meeks of the 178th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Appling County. House Bill 1270 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the assessment. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Great job. Let everybody catch their breath over there. Ms. Secretary, can you please read reports of standing committees?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 445 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Ethics has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 907 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Burns of the 23rd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 461 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 438 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kauser of the 46th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 333 do pass by substitute. Senate Resolution 395 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 54th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Science and Technology has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 374 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dolezal of the 27th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 872 do pass. House Bill 878 do pass. House Bill 1114 do pass. House Bill 1115 do pass. House Bill 1127 do pass. House Bill 1128 do pass. House Bill 1140 do pass. House Bill 1141 do pass. House Bill 1157 do pass. House Bill 1160 do pass. House Bill 1166 do pass. House Bill 1167 do pass. House Bill 1168 do pass. House Bill 1100 do pass. House Bill 1159 do pass. House Bill 1161 do pass. House Bill 1163 do pass. House Bill 1165 do pass. House Bill 1122 do pass. House Bill 1156 do pass. House Bill 1170 do pass. House Bill 1171 do pass. House Bill 1172 do pass. House Bill 1173 do pass. House Bill 1102 do pass. House Bill 1101 do pass. House Bill 1119 do pass. House Bill 1162 do pass. House Bill 1164 do pass. House Bill 1169 do pass. House Bill 1174 do pass. House Bill 1099 do pass. House Bill 1191 do pass. Senate Bill 475 do pass. House Bill 476 do pass. Senate Bill 473 do pass. Senate Bill 482 do pass. House Bill 879 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District, Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
For what purpose does the senator from the 31st rise?
Good morning, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that Senate Rule 4.2.6 be suspended to allow House Bill 907 to be read a second time.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read House Bill 907?
House Bill 907, a bill by Representative Smith of the 18th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 212540 of the OCGA relating to conduct of special primaries and special elections generally, so as to revise provisions relating to dates for special elections, to present a question relating to sales and use taxes for transportation, mass transportation, or transit special districts to the voters in even-numbered years, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes.
The senator from the 31st has asked for unanimous consent to suspend the rules to allow House Bill 907 to be read for the second time. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it will be read for the second time. Mr. Secretary, can you please read bills and resolutions for the second time?
Senate Bill 331 by Senator Albers of the 56th and others, Protecting Georgia Businesses and Workers Act enact. Senate Bill 360 by Senator McNeil of the 3rd and others, Colton's Law enact. Senate Bill 403 by Senator Watson of the 1st and others, Georgia Behavioral Health and Peace Officer Co-Responder Act enact. Senate Bill 435 by Senator Harbin of the 16th and others, education shall be unlawful for Georgia public school students or teams to compete against a Georgia public school that permits a person of one gender to participate in an athletic program that is designated for persons of opposite gender, provide. Senate Bill 456 by Senator Thompson of the 14th and others, health requirements relating to the use of abortion-inducing drugs, provide. Senate Bill 469 by Senator Harper of the 7th and others, certain watercraft to have day and night visual distress signals on board when on coastal waters of Georgia, require. Senate Resolution 345 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, Shortline Trail, renaming to the Bill and Dusty McKay Trail, support. That completes the order, Mr. President. House Bill 907 by Representative Smith of the 18th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 212540 of the OCGA relating to conduct of special primaries and special elections generally, so as to revise provisions relating to dates for special elections, to present a question related to sales and use taxes for transportation, mass transportation, or transit special districts to the voters in even-numbered years and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, it's now time for the morning roll call. It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? The chair recognizes the on-time senator from the 33rd with his announcements.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, y'all. I'd like for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators for business outside the Capitol: 43, 44, 25, and 2.
Without objection, the senators from the 43rd, 44th, 25th, and 2nd are excused. The chair recognizes the majority whip.
Good morning. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 47th.
47th. Without objection, the senator from the 47th is excused. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 18th.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. If I missed it, I apologize, but I want to make sure the senator from the 25th
Already
is
excused.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Double excused. Secretary will call the roll of senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. All right, it's now time for our morning devotional, the best time of the day. Ask that all senators take your seats and cease all audible conversations. And ask that our doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 1st to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and to introduce to us our chaplain of the day.
If you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now our Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Good morning. It's certainly my honor and privilege today to introduce our pastor of the day, Pastor John Fender. He serves as the missions pastor at Augusta's historic Presbyterian Church, and he can tell us, I think it's been there for over 280 years. The gentleman from the Augusta area maybe can help us out with that a little bit. But he's originally from Jessup, Georgia. John recently moved from my district down in Pooler, where he served as pastor and police chaplain for over 13 years. He and his wife of 26 years, Leslie, if you would stand, thank you for being here and supporting John while he has been our pastor. Thank you so much. So they both graduated from Mercer University. They share two daughters. Their oldest is a recent graduate of Georgia Southern. I understand she is now married and living in Baton Rouge and following in the footsteps of her mother as a school teacher. And their younger daughter is a junior at the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. What a great time to be a student at the University of Georgia. Absolutely. Now, she is studying something a little bit differently. She's studying Arabic and international affairs. So kudos to her. This is Pastor Fender's third time for joining us as chaplain today. Thank you so much.
Kind of great honor to be here today. Thank you for your time this morning, your attention. Short word from 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 5. May the Lord direct your hearts to the love of God and the steadfastness of Christ. I realize it's a very tough time to be a leader. You're easy targets, as it were, not only leading in this role of a government position, but even as a pastor. About a year ago, I remember a certain day of multiple phone calls. Half the calls said, I'm doing too much to limit the people to come into the church. The other half said, I'm doing too little to care for the people. When you lead, you're used to criticism. But now I find in this day of equal venom from the opposite side on the same issue. It's a tough time to be a leader. Maybe it's the divisive issues before us. Maybe it's the increasingly divisive day that we live in. It's a tough time to be a leader. I read through U.S. Congress approval ratings lately for the U.S. government. They range over the last couple of years from the low 20s to the upper 30s in approval ratings. Disapproval ratings run from 60 as high as 80% these days. It's a tough time to be a leader. We're easy targets in that sense. And so therefore, as a leader, we have to find places we can run to and say, I'll stand my ground here. I'll find my worth and value, not in a poll or a pundit, but in a proposition like 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 5. Think of these love of God and the steadfastness of Christ like a retreat center, a destination where we can put our hearts and our heads and our minds when we cast off the criticism around us and say, this is where my worth is found. May the Lord direct our hearts to the love of God and the steadfastness of Christ. Think of those destinations, the love of God, like human love, but far superior. Human love is conditional, it's temperamental, it's short-lived. Divine love is unconditional, it is steadfast, and it never ends. Human love distinguishes amongst the recipients, but God's love is for all people of all races, all colors, all socioeconomic levels, even all criminal levels. There is a love which is different than human love. And therefore, we put our hearts there to say, Can I be loved? The answer is yes, not because of my worth or value, but because of who God is. The love of God is a destination to put my heart underneath. And as well, the steadfastness of Christ. A God-man, the Lord Jesus Christ, who came and was steadfast to love his people. The Bible says he put his face like a flint towards Jerusalem. He endured the shame and suffering of the cross. He bled and died and rose again, that all those who place their faith in him might have life eternal. There's the steadfastness of Christ to accomplish our redemption, the steadfastness of Christ to continue to care for us even now. Those are destinations to put our hearts in. My father, for 40 years, owned the Jekyll Island IGA supermarket. His father owned it before him. And Leslie and I use that island like a retreat center. We go there when we are worn out. But here, in this passage, is a far greater retreat center. The love of God and the steadfastness of Christ. May you camp your hearts there. Not in a poll, not in a pundit, not in an election, but here. This is where my worth can be found. And oh, how much more dependable and reliable is this retreat than the others that we experience around us. Let me pray for you towards that end. O God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we ask that you would bless these men and women as they seek their worth in you. May they be able to set aside the criticism around them and find real hope, real security, real worth. May they understand that to feel better about ourselves, the Bible does not direct us to our own hearts, but to our own God. We trust in you and all that you've done. Bless them even this day with the labors before them. Bless our state, we pray. Would you be the one to guide us and direct us always? I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege on this beautiful Friday? This chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy John Bullock Day, everyone. I rise today to honor Black History Month by taking the time to recognize and honor Harriet Tubman. Because of her bravery during the Civil War, Harriet was also known as the Moses of her people because of helping those who were enslaved escape and gain their freedom through the Underground Railroad. She also served as a scout, spy, and a nurse for the Union Army during the war, and she, because of that, is considered the first black woman to serve in the military. While working during the Civil War era, running the Underground Railroad, Harriet was never caught and never lost a passenger, helping those that were trying to escape from slavery. Later on in life, she took on the challenge of women's suffrage. Harriet Tubman will always be remembered as one who took a chance to help others, even though it could end in serious consequences for her. And that's why I'm honoring her today during Black History Month. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we look at Black History Month, I find this is that so much of our history was at the beginning of the Revolution. And I want to speak this morning about Peter Salem. Peter Salem was a member of the famous Massachusetts Minutemen and was involved in a number of important battles, including the Battle of Bunker Hill, Concord, Saratoga, the first American victory of the Revolution. However, it was the Battle of Bunker Hill on June 17, 1775 that he gained notoriety. After the Battle of Lexington and Concord, American troops in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island assembled at Boston to confront 5,000 British troops standing there. The outmanned American forces engaged the British outside the city, and the Americans were winning the conflict until they began to run out of ammunition. With the Americans near defeat, the British commander, Major John Pickard, who had earlier led the British forces against the Americans at Lexington, mounted the hill and shouted, "The day is ours," whereupon Salem promptly shot him, sending the British troops into confusion and allowing the Americans to escape safely. Peter Salem was honored before General George Washington for his soldierly act. Salem became a member of the 5th Massachusetts Regiment and served throughout the rest of the Revolution, a total of 7 years of military service on behalf of his country. The length of time achieved was by few others. Salem then entered the Revolution as a slave, but finished as a free man, marrying in 1783 and at the conclusion of the Revolution. A stone monument was erected to Peter Salem at Farmington, Massachusetts in 1882, and Salem is pictured in the famous painting of John Turnbull entitled "The Death of General Warren" and at the Battle of Bunker Hill. We need to remember that many of our black heroes were part of why we are free today. And I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. The chair would like to recognize a senator from the 20th to approach the rostrum with your contingent for a special presentation. All right, we're about to do a special presentation. Somebody grab it, y'all. All right, everybody approach. We're not used to doing this. So.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is an exciting day for us on the Senate Ag Committee and the Senate as a whole, and particularly the 2020 Senate Livestock Showdown team, who I have invited to join me at the rostrum along with members of the Senate Ag Committee. The 2020 team was made up of the senator from the 31st, the senator from the 13th, the senator from the 41st, senator from the 5th, and the senator from the 23rd, who won the Grand Champion Prize. And I was honored to be their coach. So this is a big day in the Senate, and we are honored today to have our esteemed Commissioner of Agriculture with us today to make the trophy presentation. Gary Black has been a friend of all of us. He serves as the 16th Commissioner of Agriculture in Georgia's history. He's currently in his 3rd term. He served in various leadership positions in agriculture during his 40-year career, extending from the Georgia Farm Bureau to the Georgia Agribusiness Council to his current position as Commissioner of Agriculture. He's a graduate of the University of Georgia College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences and a past president of the college's Alumni Society. He currently serves on advisory committees for the United States Department of Agriculture, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Export-Import Bank of the United States. Under Commissioner Black's leadership, the Georgia Department of Agriculture Divisions for Information Technology, Animal Health, Homeland Security, and Food Safety have garnered national acclaim. Commissioner Black has been a tireless advocate for agriculture. He's led innovation in domestic and international promotion of our ag products through the renowned Georgia Grown branding program. School nutrition directors, first-time exporters, produce growers, and recipe dreamers alike have found that the Georgia Grown collaborative approach is an unparalleled tool that helps Georgians start businesses and expands markets for our ag products. Black is a Leadership Georgia Patilla Award recipient, the 2017 Georgia Trend Magazine Georgian of the Year. He and his wife Lydia raised commercial beef cattle on their family farm in Commerce, and they served together in various ministries at Mayville Baptist Church. But Gary has been a true friend of Georgia agriculture, whether it's been dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Michael, dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the transportation and issues, logistics issues, supply chain disruptions. He's been shoulder to shoulder with Georgia's farmers to find solutions and to help them stay viable. So I will turn over the program in a minute to Commissioner Black. I do want to point out this coveted trophy is now going to reside where it belongs in the Georgia Senate, but we have been missing it since 2015. So we've had a little drought, but just like the Georgia Bulldogs, we are now champions. Hey, thank you, Commissioner Black.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, Chairman Walker, and good friends, it's good to be here in the Senate today. A quote that has been read in this body many times in my history of being in this building. I've heard it go back through generations, but it is fitting for today. I ask for your indulgence for just a moment, because one of our former presidents said that it is not the critic who counts, not the man or woman who points out how the strong man or woman stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena. They were in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, and who comes up short again and again. But victory, see, is here. And because there's no effort without error or shortcoming. And y'all know what Roosevelt was speaking to is that person in the arena. The senators were in the arena this year. They did a great job. We started this program 11 years ago at Georgia National Fair to make sure
that you had the opportunity to interact with young people. We've invested over generations now in one of the finest facilities on the face of this globe for young people. Let us never forget that the mission of Perry is young people. And I want to thank members of the Senate, thank for this wonderful team that you had, congratulate them. Their interaction was wonderful, as it always is. But what happens after this experience is they come back here and are ambassadors because of the relationships that have been built. So, Mr. President, it is my honor, and Mr. Chairman, my honor on behalf of the Georgia Department of Agriculture and the youth of our state to present the 2021 champion of the Georgia National Fairgrounds and Agri Center Legislative Livestock Showdown to the Georgia State Senate.
Start thinking about repeat. Are there any additional points of personal privilege? Chair sees none. You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? Chair recognizes the rules chairman. Want to use the next? Try the mic next to you. Open up 18.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that House Bill 333 be committed to the Committee on Rules.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
House Bill 333, a bill by Representatives of Frustration of the 104th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the OCGA relating to ethics in government so as to revise the powers and duties of the Georgia Government Transparency and Campaign Finance Commission and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 53rd District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 53rd has asked for unanimous consent to commit House Bill 333 back to the Rules Committee. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is recommitted. You have a consent calendar of local bills before you. Mr. Secretary, are there any objections filed to any bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, no objections are filed.
Is there objection agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. The questions on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. All those in favor will vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0, and the bills having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore passed. We are now moving on to the rules calendar. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of Senate Bill 281?
Senate Bill 281, a bill by Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 16 of Title 47 of the OCGA relating to Sheriff's Retirement Fund of Georgia so as to provide for an increase in dues, to provide for an increase in the sum to be paid for purchasing prior service credit, to provide for payment for the fund or fees collected in criminal and quasi-criminal cases prior to adjudication of guilt and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Robertson of the 29th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President. Mr. President, additionally, there is an actuarial investigation attached. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th to present Senate Bill 281.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise today on Senate Bill 281, which is a bill addressing issues within the Sheriff's Retirement Fund of Georgia. What this bill does is it increases the amount that sheriffs have to pay into their retirement fund. It increases their monthly dues from $45 for active membership to $65. Current law requires that members pay an equal sum of $37.50 per month for prior service credit. It raises that to $65 for those sheriffs coming in, newly elected sheriffs who wish to buy back time within the retirement plan. The actuarial study done on this legislation shows the increases, but it says certain portions of the bill, even though it increases liability slightly for the fund, overall, it decreases the cost of the fund by approximately $37,000 annually. And as you all know, there are only 159 sheriffs in this fund that are active. And I would ask everyone for their support on this important legislation, and I yield for any questions.
Doesn't look like you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against Senate Bill 281? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. For what purpose does the majority leader rise?
I ask for unanimous consent that the bills that we passed earlier on the local consent calendar be immediately transmitted to the House.
The majority leader has asked for unanimous consent that the bills that were previously passed on the local consent calendar be immediately transmitted to the House. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and they are immediately transmitted. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of Senate Bill 343?
Senate Bill 343, a bill by Senators Huff, Stetler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 47 of the OCGA relating to retirement and pensions so as to remove the prohibition of granting post-retirement benefit adjustments to any individual who became a member on or after July 1st, 2009 of the Employees Retirement System of Georgia, the Georgia Legislative Retirement System, or the Georgia Judicial Retirement System, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Robertson of the 29th District Chairman.
Chair recognizes the senator.
Additionally, there is
cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. There is an auditor's certification attached to this bill as well. That can be ordered, Mr. President.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd to present Senate Bill 343.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, sometimes you work on a bill for 4 years and then a House member puts the identical bill out and you pass it, surprise billing. But the only reason I bring that up is because this is the complete opposite of that. And Ronald Reagan also said, you know, if you don't worry about who's getting credit, it's amazing what you can do. So I was more than happy to get that out and not hold it up. But this bill is the opposite because a whole lot of other people have worked on this bill, and I just happen to be the guy presenting it right now. The senator from the 29th, our retirement chairman, had a study committee last year and worked on this. My good friend, the senator from the 36th, had a bill and was on that committee. He's been involved in the process, as well as the senator from the 42nd, the senator from the 4th, Kelly Farr, the head of OPB, Jim Potvin and Kelly Moody from ERS, and our chair of appropriations, the senator from the 19th, has been involved heavily in this as well. I think sometimes he stays awake at night worrying about future budgets, but I believe he supports this bill. One of the reasons I believe he supports it is he's the second signer on it. But this is a historic moment for our state. The recession from the 2007-10 era brought about a significant change to our pension system. In that time that I fortunately missed out on, between being on the county commission at the state, we were at the point of only having 1 day's revenue on hand. And I have to add that, you know, while payments were cut and pensions lost ground in other states, they were cut a lot more, and some of them, I don't know how they're going to recover from where they're at right now. But now we've got the statutory limit of a fund balance on hand through the hard work of a lot of people, and that includes the members of my finance committee who supported Marketplace Facilitator and given the Department of Revenue new tools to find underreporting or no reporting of revenue that was owed to the state. And the DOR today seems to get better every day at bringing in revenue from revenue that wasn't being collected. The new businesses moving to Georgia brought in through the work of many, and the business climate of Georgia speaks well for the future. And that's important because there's a lot of things we like to do, but you've got to have the ability to do it. And hard work has gotten us to this point. So this bill is a significant step towards restoring retirement benefits for our employees. Those hired July 1st, 2009 or after were no longer eligible for COLAs. This bill changes that. They're under a hybrid plan that cut the pension amount in half, but also allowed for a 401k match. So in addition to being eligible for COLAs under this bill, the current 401k plan, if they put in 5%, gives them 3%, which fortunately 80% of our employees are taking advantage of. And then after year 5, the state will contribute another 0.5% for each year up to 13 years. So an employee working for the state for 13 years will then receive a 9% match on their 5%. 3 times the level right now of 3%. For the 53,249 employees already retired and have gone many years without a COLA, money is being put into the budget to pre-fund a COLA, and the rules are being changed in the ERS bylaws to make this happen. We hope that can continue to grow depending on fund performance and our state revenues. It is a significant step made possible by the revenue in Georgia. And then this last item, while not exciting, is still important. An employee who accrues PTO and will often roll this on to retirement. We used in our meeting every time Homer Bryson as an example, so I'll call him out again today. If you work 30 or 40 years in 30 or 40 different positions, and then at the end you've got this PTO built up, the last guy he works for has to pay it all when he retires. This will pre-fund it instead of having to come up with that money at the end. And they'll contribute to the fund all along as they accrue these benefits. By doing this, we'll avoid liabilities later, as well as increasing the ERS fund by investing this money and let it compound over many years. This will save the state money, but is the proper way to do it. This is taking advantage of where we are and being able to do some pre-funding that needs to be done. Proverb says the wise store up food when the harvest is good, but the fools devour all they have. I think this goes in line with that. But if you don't believe in God, I'll add that the senator from the 4th here, our resident CPA and his CPA organization have a thing called GAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. This will be now done the way they say it should be done. Not that I'm putting them on the same level as God. Don't get me wrong there. And I think the Appropriations Chair probably appreciates this part of the bill very much. Again, this is a historic bill, which is the work of many people. I just happen to be carrying the bill, but I am very proud to be carrying the bill. Mr. President, I'll yield for any questions.
Doesn't look like you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I urge your favorable consideration.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 36th to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise in support of this bill as a co-signer of this bill. Senate Bill 343 addresses several needs. We learned in the review of our retirement system and an extensive, under the leadership of Senator Robertson, the chair of Retirement Committee, we took an extensive testimony from all across the agencies. And we found, as is now common wisdom among us, that we have a very high turnover rate with state employees. We have trouble retaining talent, and we have miles to go in order to make our package for our employees competitive so that we can keep this talent. And as Senator Robertson often reminds us, it's those people that are working every day all across the state as state employees that deliver the goods. They are on the ground in every role you can imagine, and we really rely on them. And this is a bill that is a step in the right direction of showing that we're going to put into place measures that make it more attractive to work for the state, to commit and work long-term for the state, and then to have the ability to, and the confidence that when you retire from state employment, you have security in your golden years. That has sadly been a challenge recently, ever since the Great Recession. As we heard from our chair, you know, the biggest damage to our economy since the Great Depression of the 30s. So this bill steps up to the plate, and I just want to say the retirees, and all of us have retirees in our among our constituents. They are watching very closely because there's not been a cost of living increase for state retirees in the employees' retirement system there's not been a cost of living increase in, I'll say a dozen years. And our currently working state employees have suffered that same plight. And we all know you cannot keep up with the economy if your revenue, if your income does not keep pace with the inflation and the ups and downs of the economy. So we have had our state, our plight is such that we have retirees, good people, we have retirees all across our state in our districts who are eligible for food stamps and have to depend on food stamps as part of the way that they keep body and soul together. And they are retirees from our state system. So I think this bill is going to, it takes important steps to address improvements in the system. More benefits, a more attractive package, and moving towards restoring COLAs. And there's a section in this bill that leaves it to the employees' retirement system to develop a formula to begin building back the capacity to restore COLAs, cost of living. And the retirement committee as a whole, I think, has had a great learning curve. And really under the leadership of its new chairman, no longer new to us, he's been there now, but has really been able, and as well as with the study group for retirement security for Georgians, to get our arms around a lot of the detail and to resolve to work in an ongoing way to address these issues. I can say to you that retirees are very appreciative that the governor has recognized the need to address the situation and is committed to at least partially fund COLAs for the next year and for future years. Unfortunately, the money that's in the budget at this point is just a fraction of what it would take to restore the former 3% COLAs. And we want a meaningful COLA approach that's going to really make a difference for retirees. It's going to make our package to work as a state employee much more attractive. But you know, the good news is this is the year where we're able to, due to our situation with the budget and our revenue, that we can address some things that have long been delayed. And so this is very definitely the stars lining up, in my opinion, in terms of having the chair of the Finance Committee, the chair of the Retirement Committee, the study that we've gone through, the working with the employees' retirement system experts, that we are positioned, and I'm hopeful that we can look and as we move forward through this session, grappling with the budget and get good revenue estimates, that we can see our way clear to do a richer package, which really rich doesn't quite describe it, a package that provides equity for our employees and that really has a path forward that is hopeful rather than filled with destitute state retirees. So this is very much a bipartisan effort, and I hope we can continue in that spirit as we look at the revenue projections as they're coming in and work to try to significantly fund this effort of the employee retirement system for our state retirees, current and those yet to come. I'll yield for any questions. If there are none, I'll yield the well, Mr. President.
No questions. Chair recognizes the senator from the 4th to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here. I just want to tell you I'm in full support of Senate Bill 343, but I want to mention a couple of quick things, and Senator Orrick just mentioned also. I'll reiterate, I am so proud of the fact that our state is the 8th year in a row that we've been voted the best state in the United States to do business. However, it really breaks my heart to know that we've got state retirees that are on food stamps. You know, we found out that the average retiree in the state retirement system, not to be confused with a teacher retirement system, received the medium retirement amount is about $22,000 a year, and those people have not had any type of cost of living inflationary factor in at least 10 or 12 years. So, as we all know, $22,000 a year 12 years ago is entirely different than $22,000 a day. So I am just tickled to death that our governor has seen fit to fund a portion of the COLA of 3%. I think it's got about 1.5%, but I would urge our appropriation chair and other people, and as several of us know, to move that a little bit further to at least put at least 3% in for these state retirees. They deserve it. They work for our state, and part of their salary up front was knowing that they would have a retirement system that would take care of them, and that's what we need to do. Thank you, sir. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. Any other senators wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair recognizes the senator from the 44th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise this morning just to support SB 343. If we really want to stamp out poverty, we must deal with homelessness, but we also must deal with the issue of the working poor. Many of our state employees make about $20,000 plus, and that's not enough to live on, especially if you have a family. The average pension is about $26,000 a year. And for years, thousands of our state retirees have not had a cost of living raise. You know, we were given the 3% annually, but then we didn't give anything. And I commend our colleagues for working so hard on this issue for years. The senator from the 36th, and the Appropriations Committee chairman, and all these chairmen, our leadership has been working on this issue. But we must do more. And I think this measure calls for some, but we need the 3%. SB 343 would reinstate COLA eligibility for state employees hired after 2009. It would increase the 401k match from a full match for the first 1% and a 50% match for the next 4% to be a full match for the first 5% and a 50% match for the next 4%. State employers would no longer be responsible for paying for accrued sick and vacation leave for people that retired before July the 1st, 2022. What more can we do? Well, we can support this bill because we need to do something, but the truth is that it really is not enough. We need to do more. We should establish the formula that produces the 3% cost of living adjustment. We owe it to our state employees to live up to the state's promise to ensure retirement security. And I'm not just saying that because I'm at retirement age, so I look at everything retirement. But our employees deserve it. The high turnover we are experiencing in our state agencies, which ultimately leads to high costs for the state, is tied to the lack of retirement security. The state ran a $3.7 billion surplus in fiscal 2021. Well, we should do all these things, first of all, because we have the money to do it, and it's the right thing to do. So the tax collection continues to climb as the economy grows. We can adjust revenue projections to help accommodate the COLA needs. So if we look at it as doing the right thing and we have the money to do it, then we will support this bill. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the Appropriations Chairman to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hear the questions in the audience. I want to answer your questions specifically about this bill because I think there's a lot of confusion. And some of the numbers would be scary, particularly if you're like me and you're extremely fiscally conservative. But let me tell you why I think this is a good bill and try to help alleviate any of those concerns. At the state level, we see roughly 66% turnover after 5 years. That means every 5 years, 2 out of 3 state employees are no longer there. In some departments, we are seeing over 100% turnover. The reason this bill is a scalpel to a problem. It's not a knife or a sledgehammer to a problem. It is tailored to make sure that as employees stay longer, they are rewarded for staying longer. So when you're looking at this bill and you see that GSEPs change, after 5 years, the time when we're starting to see so much turnover, it offers incentives to employees of an additional 0.5% contribution on the state's end every year that they stay for the next 9 years. The total point of this bill is to give state employees incentive to stay after that mark that we currently see them leave and to push that mark further down the road. While it is a big cost, it could be $30 million, it could be $41 million. We're spending $20 million in corrections just going after turnover every year in one department. If you are fiscally conservative, this is the bill you will want to vote for. And if we look back in 9 years and see it's been successful, the cost will be much less than they would have been otherwise. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll yield the well or yield for questions.
Any other senator? There's no questions on the floor. Any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Ms. Secretary, please read the caption of Senate Bill 352.
Senate Bill 352, a bill by Senator Thompson of the 14th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to general provisions of professions and businesses so as to provide for the issuance of expedited licenses and by endorsement for certain licenses to spouses of firefighters, healthcare providers, and law enforcement officers who relocate to the state of Georgia and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommend that this bill do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kauser of the 46th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities offered the following substitute to Senate Bill 352. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to general provisions of professions and businesses so as to provide for the issuance of expedited licenses by endorsement for certain licenses to spouses of firefighters, healthcare providers, and law enforcement officers who relocate to the state of Georgia and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Thompson of the 14th offers the following amendment. Amend the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities substitute to Senate Bill 352 by replacing including but not limited to on line 17 with including. By replacing lines 20 through 22 with the following: optician, physical therapist, chiropractor. By inserting at the beginning of line 61 the following: or a disciplinary proceeding. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 14th to speak to Senate Bill 352 and Amendment Number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I bring before you Senate Bill 352. As we all know, we have serious labor problems in our state, and this bill simply seeks to recruit or provide an opportunity for a recruitment tool for first responders, law enforcement, and healthcare professionals. It's very straightforward. We offered a bill just like this last year with military. When we were going through our regulated industries, there were several opportunities to discuss to make this bill better. One of those was passed in the substitute that was brought forth by the senator from the 18th that simply had to do with disciplinary action. When we move over to our amendments that we're offering, you can see on the first, we're excluding but not limited to, taking that back to the normal. There was some concerns from the senator of 37th about it being too broad. We've narrowed that down in this amendment. And then on the final portion of this amendment, we're taking that disciplinary proceeding and making sure it's consistent through the entire bill. Simply just overlook that. That's what these amendments are, and they're favorable. If there are no questions, I appreciate your favorable consideration.
You have no questions.
I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against Senate Bill 352 or Amendment Number 1? The chair sees none. All right, we'll take up Amendment Number 1 first. Amendment Number 1. Is there any objection to the adoption of Amendment Number 1? The chair hears none, and Amendment Number 1 is adopted. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute as amended? Chair hears none, and the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. We're bringing it home here on a beautiful Friday afternoon. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of Senate Bill 396?
Senate Bill 396, a bill by Senator Goodman of the 8th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 17 of Title II of the OCGA relating to the Georgia State Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, so as to rename such program to Georgia Grown Farm and Food Bank Program, to require food procured pursuant to such program to be Georgia grown and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs recommend that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The chair recognizes the anxious and well-spoken senator from the 8th to present Senate Bill 396.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from the 24th reminded me that when we finish this that we get to go home, so he told me brevity was the order of the day. I'm proud to bring to you Senate Bill 396. It's a governor's bill. It's the Georgia Grown Farm to Food Bank program. I asked actually the Lieutenant Governor's office to serve on a committee with Senator Harold Jones to study food insecurity. We had meetings all over the state and really learned a lot about the issue, how it affects Georgians. This bill, I think, is going to help address food insecurity in our state. It's also going to help our farmers. It's going to initially be funded at the $800,000 level, and this program is going to be administered through the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture is going to work with our food banks across the state. And just as our food banks are inclusive in serving all of Georgians, our food banks are going to negotiate with our farmers in the same spirit of inclusiveness. Inclusivity. Thank you, Mr. President, in administering this program. And so they're going to work with the farmers, and they'll negotiate in the language that says in the bill that they will compensate farmers at a level of cost plus half of appreciation. So it'll always be less than what the farmer would get in the retail market. I can tell you, being a farmer, we have 40% of what farmers grow never gets sold, and a lot of that is because if it's not a USDA number one, it's hard to get it in the retail market because it can't sit in a cooler for 2 weeks and ride it in a truck to Albuquerque. So anyway, if there's no questions, I'd be glad to take any questions if anyone has a question.
You've got questions.
Sure.
Chair recognizes the distinguished rules chairman to your left. This bill must have went through your committee already, correct?
Yeah. Well, to get here it did, yes, sir. And thank you for calling on me. Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about food products that may not appear to be pretty, but is still edible and healthy.
Yes, sir.
So this will benefit those people that may not be able to afford what they need or unable to get things. Would that be true?
Yes, sir. That's very true.
Would it also be true that this would benefit any kind of farmer that would produce food and fiber?
Yes, sir. That is true.
Could you tell us how the blueberry crop is doing this year?
Well, initially we thought we had lost about 25% of our high bush crop, but after about another week, we've lost about 50% of our high bush crop in Georgia. So that's
well, what about the products that go into cobblers? Would that also be involved? Don't wait on the translation. Give me the answer now.
I'll put it this way.
I didn't say transportation.
I'll put it this way, Mr. Chairman, as I shared in committee, for folks that don't know, when we grade produce, for instance, if you have a rain and there's on average around 300 blueberries in a pint clamshell, if you have 2 rain splits, it'll pass. If there's 3, it will not pass, and that absolutely affects nothing to do with the nutrition of that product or being able to help hungry
it's
families.
Just a prettiness, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So would it be true that your product that may not be sellable in normal grocery stores would benefit people who are in need of food and fiber?
That's exactly right.
Let me thank you on behalf of the person standing here in front of this chair of your activity and your work on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
No, I mean, will you yield the well?
Oh, absolutely. If I have no further questions.
You don't have any further questions.
Does the senator yield?
I will yield.
The senator has yielded the well by the grace of God. Never knew you liked to talk so much. That was awesome to see. And I didn't know you were a farmer either. I just learned that. No, I didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. After that great explanation, the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The chair recognizes the distinguished majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure that we could top that any today, so I'm going to ask the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Monday, 14 February, Valentine's Day on 2022.
That's a great reminder. Chair recognizes the secretary for announcements.
The Rules Committee will meet immediately upon adjournment today in room 450. All other committee meetings are canceled for today. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the Appropriations Chairman for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a reminder, Senators, that Subcommittee of Appropriation meetings start at 7 a.m. Monday morning. See you there.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th for an announcement. I just lost my button on my jacket. It just literally fell off. Yeah, suit button.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to welcome some young leaders that are up here to observe the political process. And so we got members of Teen Pack that had shown up in the gallery, and a few of them are still here. So thank y'all for being here, and hope you learned something.
The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Monday, Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2022 at 10 a.m. sharp. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. And the ayes have it by the grace of God. Senate stands adjourned. Senator from the 20th, come get your trophy.